what is going on, everybody? Hello, happy Thursday. I know the town hall is still going on, but just wanted to hop in real quick and let everybody know to check in to the tournament so that we can participate in the next couple of minutes. But I'm joined here by Lorkus. Lorkus, how's it going, sir?
It is going pretty well. It's going pretty well.
Amazing. Hopefully we'll... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm missing the rest of my facial hair right now. Snow has started here, and it's the time of year I want more facial hair, and I'm shaving it off. So,
is there a reason that you shaved it off?
Yeah, I shave it off to restart my mustache for November every year.
Ah, okay. So you're 21 days in, huh?
Yeah. So this is the mustache on its way back. It'll probably get to curly phase around January.
Around January. All right.
Yeah, that's my normal timeline.
Awesome.
It's not my first time.
You know, I tried to participate in November once, and it just, I don't know, my family couldn't look at me the same at Thanksgiving with a mustache, so just kept it the same. All right, let's just see here what else they got going on in this town hall, and we can start to wrap things up. It seems like we're a couple minutes behind.
It will be on cooldown, so it's not going to be a way to avoid having it go on cooldown. We were thinking that what we were going to do is limit it to season rentals that would be allowed, so you wouldn't be able to just like rent a card for the minimum amount of time. That'll have it be on a week-long cooldown, and then just end the rental. Obviously, that would be really bad for people who are listing cards for rent. But if you at least rent the card for an entire season, the person listing the card for rent would at least get an entire season worth of rental, and if it happens to die near the end of the season, that card will not be able to be used in battles until the cooldown is up. In the future, we may, again, if that becomes a problem or an issue, we may work out different mechanisms. We kind of, for land, we talked about like having a checkbox on the rentals that would indicate like this rental is allowed to be used on land, so we could potentially add that in the future for survival mode. Like the person listing the card for rent would have to indicate if they will allow it to be used for survival mode, so that way they could increase the rental price to allow for the possibility that it could be on cooldown. So again, that's one of the number of things that we're kind of going to look into and figure out as we get closer to launch. Ghostly PG is asking, next voucher promo card. I don't think we have that ready to announce at this town hall. I don't know, Harry or Nate, when do you think that's
ready? It's definitely being worked on. Like, it's not being ignored or shuffled under the rug or anything. Like, we're actively, the testers are trying it out, and we're getting ready to, have our work in any new abilities if there are any, and just figure it out. So it's on the radar. It is being actively worked on. We just don't have anything to show today.
Yeah, so unfortunately we don't have it ready to show in the town hall, but we will announce it as soon as it is ready, probably through a post and in the official announcements on Discord. Another question from Lewis88: did you consider this new mode is absolutely not user friendly for new users that have no cards? Yes, we did. I mentioned a couple times. This is not for new users. We're spending a bunch of time working on the experience, the onboarding experience, the free to play experience, tool tips, all these things to help new users. And one of the things we do need to make sure is that it's very clear on the site that new users are intended to play a modern format, and that this is an advanced user thing. So we want to make sure it's messaged appropriately if a new user happens to stumble into it. That we message like that this is probably not for them, and they probably want to stay in modern. But yes, this is purposely not a new user feature. Question: will you be able to use your cards that are locked on land in survival mode? No. So cards that are working on land can't play in any format. So again, I think a lot of players who do have multiple copies of cards probably have them on land. So it's going to also be a decision of whether you keep them on land or whether you bring them in survival mode, whether you get more of them. There is a little bit of a difference in that. Typically, the cheapest cards are the ones that most people have on land, and those are typically the ones that are worst in battles. So it again will be interesting to see if different sorts of cards that are relatively cheap but are more powerful in battles are the ones that will probably be used in survival mode. But again, this is all part of what we don't know exactly what will happen. But no, if they're on land, they're in land. They can't be used in survival mode. Oh, okay. Ron is posting, I guess, questions from YouTube, which is super helpful in the Discord chat. A question from the silence. I've asked this before. I don't remember if the P is silent or not. But what happens if you use a rented card in survival mode? If you use a rented card, oh yeah, we just talked about that. So still.
FYI, folks, the tournament has started, so we are in the qualifier round now. So make sure you guys check in, or no, it's too late to check in. Make sure you guys put your battles in. Do you guys want to keep listening to this? Bad. I mean, I guess we kind of have to, right? See what else they got going on.
Yeah, might as well.
All right, let's do it. So Renee, it is on 2x speed because I don't know, not everybody just talks too slow if I listen to it regularly.
Still TBD exactly how it will work. We might have a checkbox option when you're listing a card for rent that says this is allowed to use in survival mode, and then like a filter when you're looking for cards to rent. Say I want to rent cards that are allowed to use in survival mode so they can be priced appropriately, maybe limited to season rentals. We'll see. That's still TBD. Question from Bitcoin Sig: is the game completely on the tech modernization now? Where do we go from here for mobile, etc.? I believe the last little piece is the tutorial, the old tutorial that we still have in the game. Literally everything else is in the tech modernization client now. We plan, getting a full new tutorial is going to be a long project. So in the meantime, I think we're planning to do like a community contest for players to design a video tutorial that we can show. And at that point, we'll completely get rid of the old client. But in the meantime, we're at a point where we can start actively working on the mobile app, and Sukev is doing that. And I think anyone who plays on their mobile device will see that generally the whole site works 100 times better on mobile than it used to a year or so ago. So not 100% just that one little piece of the tutorial, but that should be taken care of pretty soon. Extreme Player 63 is asking, will survival mode, I assume that's SM, earn Glint? And also, will all cards be allowed to be used? So the plan is that, yes, it will earn Glint, just not at first. So we're going to give it 2 or 3 seasons or so to see how it goes, how many battles are played, what's going on, before we figure out how to give out Glint. Because Glint works differently than, say, the SPS reward pool. The SPS pool is a fixed size, and everyone's competing for it. So there's no way that like too much SPS can be given out or something like that. So we want to be very careful since we don't know how the new format will go. Because Glint doesn't work that way. There's not a fixed size pool. So we want to get a few seasons under our belt to figure out the Glint rewards. So initially, you'll just be competing for the SPS and the leaderboard prizes. But we definitely plan to add Glint in there as soon as we can. And yes, it'll be like modern format in that all cards can be used, except for gladiator cards, unless you have a summoner rule set that allows them. So yeah, use your alpha cards, use your beta cards, use your rebellion cards, whatever you want. The document, question from Paul TRX. The document says killed cards can be used on land. They would have to wait for the cooldown to end before earning anything, right? So I think the plan was that if the card is on cooldown, it's only on cooldown for battles, and it would still be able to be put on land and be able to work in, just like any other card on land. So again, still TBD. But I think that was the current plan. Again, someone can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. So even if your cards die in battles, you can just shove them onto land plots for a little while until the cooldown is done. And then there's still a cooldown when they come off of land, keep in mind, but you can take them off of land and put them in a survival mode battle again if you wanted to. We got a question for Nate. What from Snowballs? What product do you use to give the glossy lift to your hair?
Wow, I'm glad Snowballs is here to really bring up important topics in the town hall. Actually, I have this product. I hardly ever use product in my hair, but if you must know, I bought a product based on the name. It was called Smooth Viking is the name of the product. It comes in a little container, some kind of sculpting clay. I use it for only special occasions like date night with the wife, or in this case, the town hall. So I took a little bit of that. There you go. There's your answer.
All right, perfect. I see this is what happens when you wear a hat.
Smooth Viking on his head. That's amazing.
Tough questions come out.
Yes.
I think question from Fat Jimmy. Any word or update on kitchen table game mode for all? I didn't know that's what it was being called. The fully customizable challenges. Yeah, we actually just discussed that earlier this week. That is something we would like to, and we plan to do. It is not one of our high priority items, so it's not going to take priority over the 6 kind of main things we talked about earlier. We talked about it not being too difficult to do, and then it's kind of one of the higher up things that we could try to squeeze in if we can. So the word is that it's on our to-do list of things that we would like to do and plan to add to the game. I don't know when we will get to it. Let's see, next one. I lost my spot here. Here we go. Intrepid Surfer. Will survival mode require specific SPS staking to earn rewards? It will have the same requirements as the other formats. So the modifiers and the reward share earnings for SPS and Glint and all that other stuff will be the same. I shouldn't say for Glint. I don't know what exactly we're going to do for Glint, as I mentioned. We're going to figure that out. But for the SPS rewards, the modifiers and everything will be the same as the other formats. So the gold foil cards will give you higher reward shares, which will get you more SPS. Your SPS state will allow you to get more SPS. Your land prefix titles, all that stuff will be exactly the same. Question: are there any plans for Rooney, perhaps in the survival mode? Good question. I talked a month ago about putting up a proposal for Rooney to be evergreen and modern. I did not get to that. I apologize. In fact, I don't know if Clayboyne is listening, or otherwise I'll message him. Maybe he can just go ahead and put that one up. I don't see any reason why that needs to come from me or Splinterlands. But that's one of the things out there too. If the community wants to and votes for it, we've talked about having that be a card that's always allowed.
Wait, do you guys both have Rooney?
Yes.
So we're
I do.
I do too. So I mean, why not? All right, looks like the town hall is actually still going, so I guess we're still
modern, even when Gas Legion goes out of modern. And I have not thought about Rooney in survival mode, but perhaps perhaps there can be something special for Rooney as far as like a drastically reduced cooldown or something like that. So that's a good question. That's one we should put in there in the to-do list to think about for survival mode.
I really like that idea, particularly since Rooney's core ability is revive.
Yeah, right. For Rooney. If you have a Rooney, you don't have to play
maybe it doesn't ever go on cooldown or something. Yeah. I don't want to commit to that. To make sure that's not like OP or something. But yeah, no, definitely we did not think of that, or at least I didn't. So thank you for bringing it up.
Game mode.
Question from Quantum Nachos: since the introduction of battle wagons allows state cards also allow for ranked battling, can we also allow state cards on land to be used in at least one other mode usable as well? Might I suggest a new survival mode of requiring a certain amount of grain per season to play ranked modes on all cards staked or not? Yeah, I mean, like I said, the plan currently is to not allow cards used on land to be used in other modes. And kind of the whole idea of that was like you need to get more cards. Like you can't just say, oh, I got a bunch of cards that I use for battling. I'm just going to put those on land too. The idea, one of the main ideas for land is to encourage people to get additional cards. But I don't know if this is what you're suggesting, or maybe I'm misunderstanding it. But like maybe if there's you could pay grain or research or something, some land resource in order to allow your cards to be used. In certain battles while they're on land, that might work out as a value for land resources. Again, someone can jump in if I'm misunderstanding that. But at least initially, for the initial release, the plan is land is separate. You can't use your land cards. But as in the future, I mentioned, we want to start adding more in-game real use cases for land. So we can look at that. Okay, question from Haiju Weputa. I know I pronounced that wrong. I apologize. This is the second time in recent memory that there are disadvantages for players who have already combined BCX with cards. The first was how cards were unsoulbound. Someone who had overcombined but didn't need that much BCX was penalized. And now it's possible that having combined your cards already might prevent you from being able to optimize your strategy in the new format. I'm not saying it's particularly wrong, but maybe the language that we're always trying to encourage combining BCX should be avoided. Can we expect this to continue, or is it just accidental that a few things have gone away from suggested management? Well, I mean, I said specifically we are generally always trying to encourage combining BCX. But in this case, and I don't know for sure. I mean, you seem to be saying like it is definitely going to be better not to combine cards. That may be the case. It may not be the case. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. And there may be changes. Again, I think I was very clear with the disclaimers that we are going to put this out. We're going to see how it goes and see what works and see what doesn't, and make changes, especially taking in community feedback. So if it really turns out that it heavily disincentivizes combining cards, and that's a problem that needs to be addressed with this mode, perhaps we can make changes to address it. The one thing that is included is that higher level card. The more BCX you have, the lower the cooldown. I know that's not like 1-to-1, and that a 400 BCX common doesn't have 1/400th of the cooldown of a single BCX common, but that's the way that combining cards was attempted to be encouraged in this format. So generally we try to always, I think that's still a true statement, we always try to encourage combining cards, but that doesn't mean we're going to not do things that could otherwise be, I think, extremely beneficial and engaging for the community if it doesn't fit in with that particular thing that we're trying to do. So yeah, let's see how it goes before assuming what's going to work and what doesn't, and we'll go from there and we'll see what the actual problems are and fix those. Question from Extreme Player 63 from me. Has your enthusiasm for the secret of Praetoria changed any? I know the world was promised for Rooney from Aggie, and that fell short to say the least. Just wanted to check your temperature on how you feel about the secret. Thank you for your feedback. I don't know if you mean generally the entire land expansion or the actual secret itself. So I guess I'll just answer both. For the entire land expansion, I feel like that's second in line for my excitement after Validators. Like Validators was this thing that was, not specifically Validators, but the concept was from like day one of building and launching Splinterlands, something we wanted to do. The land expansion, concept came along much later, but it's still been years at this point. So my enthusiasm for the full version of that has not lessened at all. In fact, it's grown considerably as we've spec'd out more and more of the details of the expansion, and seeing some of it go live and seeing the art and the assets and all this stuff. I'm more and more excited about that as time goes on. For the actual secret itself, I'm not going to say too much other than I think it's really cool. I think players are going to like it, and I can't wait. I'm kind of bummed that it's not only taking so long for land to be out, but even after that, it's going to be a while before the secret is actually discovered. And it's hard for me to know I have to wait that long. So hopefully that answers either of your questions, whichever you were focused on. And I hear that in your opinion, Rooney fell short. I still think Rooney is extremely cool. I know people have very high expectations, and it was released, right in the middle of a big kind of bull market for things where expectations were kind of through the roof. But if you kind of step back and look at the price for minting Rooney, I think they're still reasonably similar priced on average, like on the low end, and they have significant value in the game. So I think they've actually been a very good purchase for everyone who's purchased them. I recently bought a bunch of Roonies off the market myself. Both because I expect that the community might vote to keep them in modern, which should help them. They're very useful in land, and I have a bunch of land plots that could use Rooney, and then potentially also survival mode could use Rooney. So they certainly may have fell short according to some people's expectations, but I think they've actually been a pretty good purchase, especially for the people who got them on the initial sale. Another question from Snowballs. Can we get some data on the accounts banned from modern? I don't know if we have anything available that we can share, Patrick or Investigator, other than I know that the team is constantly is on top of that.
The short answer is no. It's kind of a very big question, but yes, there are a large number of accounts that have been banned from modern. We don't really provide public data on that, but it is something that we do actively monitor and try to prevent people from buying modern.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I can assure you that the team, we are constantly monitoring that and taking appropriate actions when necessary. The next question also is a good one for probably for you, Investigator. From Paul TRX, when the tutorial is moved over to the tech modernization, will we be able to go fully to just splinterlands.com and not need next.splinterlands.com anymore?
Yes, that is the eventual goal. The whole next thing was meant to be a temporary solution for writing to clients way back when this project got started a while ago. But yeah, hopefully we will be able to collapse it down to one URL again.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't actually even think of that. I was just like, everything will be on next.splinterlands.com, and then you can just get rid of the next, which sounds nice. That's how you'll know, in years to come, you'll know who the OG people are who remember when, it had to switch back and forth to next.splinterlands.com. Maybe look back on that fondly. All right, let's see. Not a question from Bjangles, but I'll read it anyway. Happy early Thanksgiving, everyone. I want to echo that sentiment. Yes, happy early Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates. I know we have people from all over the world listening in, which is awesome. But for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, yes, happy early Thanksgiving. The team is going to take a little break. Hopefully everyone else gets some R&R and comes back extra refreshed and excited for what's to come. So thank you, Bjangles. I will mention, hopefully this is not something I'm not supposed to mention, but Bjangles has invited me on the People's Guild podcast or show again in December. So I look forward to talking with them soon and sharing that with everybody in the community. Okay, we got a bunch of chatter going on. I'm trying to find the next question. Actually, we're a little over already. Let's give it here. This is the last call, everyone. If you have any extra questions, get them in now. In a couple minutes, Ron, or whoever's doing it, go ahead and put the end of questions message in there. As a reminder, as always, I think I've been doing a better job, and the rest of the team's also been helping out in answering questions in the Town Hall channel in between our monthly Town Hall live events. So if you didn't get your question in today, post it in the channel. Wait till everyone's done with all the chatter from after the stream's done. Preface it with question in caps and in bold, so it's easy to see. And myself or one of the other team members will answer it. Hopefully within the next few days at most. Question from Brave Tofu: what's the latest with Glamour? There's really no updates on Glamour since we last talked about it. The system is mostly designed and ready to go. It's not one of the first of the 6 projects that we're working on, so I think we're probably gonna get started on that in early next year timeframe. But we do still think we can get it out before Conclave Arcana and in Q1. One thing I will note with Glamour is that one of the benefits that we're looking at for having higher level Glamours on the cards could be reduced cooldown times for survival mode. So if you get for those of you who didn't hear, don't remember, we're planning on having different levels of Glamour that you can achieve that make the card look cooler and also provide benefits in the game. So one of those benefits that we will now be able to provide once survival mode is live is that the higher level Glamour you have for a card that can potentially lower the cooldown time for all copies of that card that you have. So that could be another real big reason for players to get Glamour. Question for Cryptomancer. Can you expand what level of resource requirements will be needed for research FPS production? That seems a surprise versus just reduced grain plots available. Or is this only requirements to build new work sites?
All right, so you'll still be able to build SPS and research work sites on any plot. The difference will be you'll need some amount of wood, stone, and iron as inputs in addition to feeding your workers grain in order to produce SPS and research. And we have not decided yet the exact amounts of wood, stone, and iron that you'll need. That's still TBD and will probably be decided very close to the release date.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, like, I'm not sure why that seems like a surprise, because I thought we were pretty clear that that's the whole idea. Otherwise, there would be no purpose in getting wood, stone, or iron at all. So the idea is that you add them as the inputs in order to produce research and SPS in the research and SPS work sites. So that's kind of the whole idea. So it's like you need those kind of constantly, and as Cryptomancer talked about, will ideally lead to very significantly increased internal market volume for those resources. Question from Ron Mobile. So I guess it's from one of the other places that we're streaming. Yeah. Are castles getting taxes on stone, ore, and wood?
The answer to that is yes. Castles and keeps get a tax share of all the different resources that are produced by your plots. So that will include the new resources, stone, wood, and iron as well.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So those castles, and I should keeps also.
Yes, castles and keeps both.
There you go. Castles and keeps will kind of be getting some of everything. Another question from the name I can't pronounce. Speaking of Rooney, especially making evergreen, some time ago there was a discussion about reviving Aggie's idea back in the day that Rooney might be playable even when working on land. Haven't heard anything about this since. Is that still a consideration? It seems particularly likely to be a reason why Rooney doesn't show up in a lot of battles because it's so good on land. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, for those type of things, I would really leave it open to community DAO proposals. So I don't have a strong feeling on that either way. But if the community would like a change in how that works, I invite them to submit anyone, or work with Clay to submit a proposal. And if that's what the SPS token holders vote for, I think that makes sense. And that's what we're planning to do for allowing Rooney to be evergreen. That's if that's what the community wants, then that's what we'll do. All right, I think we have a couple more questions. If we can, let's cut off the questions at this point. Everyone's had a pretty good opportunity. Oh, thank you, Ron. He's quick on the draw with that. So no more questions for now. We'll answer the last couple. We'll call it a night. It's getting a bit late here. I guess early for Cryptomancer. And then again, we will continue to answer questions as we go in the town hall chat. Question, how much are you going to bid for the gold foil at auction? That is a good question. I don't know. I'm not sure it's a good idea to tip my hand anyway, although I did have a little chat about that earlier that I know people were posting about.
Looks like they ended the stream.
I did go and buy a bunch more DEC recently just to be ready.
See how slow it feels now?
Yeah, I think that's 5 days. Is that right? The 26th, I think, is when the gold foil auction starts. I'm pretty excited for that. See how that goes. Last question from Extreme Player 63. Matt, just curious if all the past deals like Warner Music Group and speaking of working with Todd McFarlane has all stopped. Also, any new projects in the work that you can speak of? Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, at least the Warner Music thing was all for additional games, and all the additional game and other projects are part of the Invenium side of the business that Agrod is running, and my focus is just on Splinterlands. So we're not like, I am not pursuing any deals that would involve like creating other games with new IP that's separate from Splinterlands. I think the Todd McFarlane thing, unfortunately, just didn't work out. But if we have opportunities to do cool stuff like that within Splinterlands, that's definitely something that we will consider. And that's something that Blaze and the marketing team and people, I'm hoping they can kind of take the lead on. I'm not the one, I don't have time or expertise in going out and kind of doing that business development type of stuff. So that's where I look at the marketing team to do things and to try to really focus on things that we think will really move the needle. So doing stuff, in the past, we've done some things like the Waka card, for example, which, in my opinion, we didn't actually get any new players or any real much benefit from doing that. So I prefer to look at things, the things that benefited us the most in the past, as far as like those type of cross-promotional deals, were things with like other blockchain and crypto projects. When we did the Sesame Seed thing on Tron, when we did work with Wax on an Atomic Hub, like that stuff got us a lot of new players and a lot of excitement in Splinterlands. So I really want to make sure, since we're not able to do a ton of these things, we want to pick ones that are really high value for us. So I don't have anything in the hopper right now, but that's part of what Blaze's kind of job description is to go out and find some really high value opportunities for us. All right, so that's it. We're done with questions for now. I'm not even sure what to say to kind of recap all this. The kind of general mood and feeling overall for the crypto industry is completely changed from even a month ago when we did the last town hall. I mean, some of the things that were huge worries kind of in the back of my mind at all the time of like, there was Operation Choke Point 2.0 where banks were not working with crypto companies. And that, I mean, that's a real thing. We're on our third bank, that just, say they're closing our accounts for no reason. Obviously there's always the worry that the SEC, might look at what we're doing or have problems with it. All these type of things, the risk and all that has gone down measurably, as we kind of see a regime change here in the US. That makes me feel a lot more confident, not having as many big existential risks kind of overhanging our industry and Splinterlands. And then also that has started to lead to what could be the next bull market for cryptocurrency, which would certainly benefit us. And at the same time as that's all starting to happen, we are in a good place financially, better than we've ever been, in the sense that we've gotten our expenses down to a manageable level, where we're not kind of worried about running out of cash all the time, and we can focus more on building. And then, we have been focusing on building, as you guys can see, and we have 6 major projects. That does not include the new set Conclave Arcana. So that's 7 coming up in the next 6 months or so. And on top of that, we have the funding from the Hive DAO that's allowed us to go and get some real marketing talent in here. I'm excited for you guys to hopefully meet Andrew and Scott from Not Corrupt Media, hopefully at our next town hall in December, because these guys are really just like, they seem like absolute rock stars in this space, and I'm super excited to see what they can do for us. So like I said earlier, this is by far the most optimistic I've been in a long time about Splinterlands. I hope it seems like a lot of the community kind of is starting to see and share in that optimism. The team has just been executing unbelievably well. I think they really deserve the vast majority of the credit for all this. So kudos to all them. Thank you to everyone who was on here. We got Investigator, we got Nate, we got Blaze, who had to jump because I think it's like 3 a.m. for him. We got Cryptomancer, we got Patrick, we got Ron, who puts this all together. So thank you to the team. They deserve the credit. That's all we got for you tonight. We'll talk to everyone again the 3rd Thursday in December, whatever date that works out to be. Probably going to be pretty close to the Christmas break. Bonak. Together we rise.
Bonak. All right, I think we can end it there. What's up, guys? Tails, how you doing, man? Is Tails still here? Okay, we can move on.
I am still here. Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
Mute. I was, rough.
Rough. Okay, so I think a lot of people are going to be interested to hear both of your takes. Just because our conversations have been, or behind the scenes have been a little rough. But who wants to go first? Lorkus? Tails?
Well, I would like to set expectations that I don't think anybody really wants to hear what we have to. Oh, no one here wants to hear what I have to say. Maybe some people want to hear what Tails has to say.
I'm sure they want to hear exactly what you have to say. But that's fine. We can let Tails go first, just because Tails, you and I were kind of going back and forth about hardcore mode this morning. We finally got details on it. So what do you think?
I'm torn. If you watch my channel, my videos, I've been looking for a way for the game to put value back to wild cards, and this in theory can be a way to do that. But I just think they missed some key steps here, and it's kind of disappointing for Matt to go on the town hall and be like, we have no idea how this is going to work or what it's going to do to the economy. Come on, guys. If you're spending all the resources to develop this mode, QA it, maybe do some data analysis, figure it out before you release it in a press release, essentially, to the community. and like know what it's going to do to your ecosystem maybe before you either commit resources to developing it or to announce it. So that's kind of, I mean, if any CEO out there in a company says, yeah, we're going to create a new product, we have no idea if it's going to sell or what price we're going to sell it at, but we've already started making it and we'll figure it out as we go, that CEO wouldn't be in the job the next day. I'm sorry. But you know, I just I'm torn because I did the video on, you know, what I thought hard mode or survival mode could be. And I think it's a lot of what that video actually had. And I think it's similar, I think, for the most part, but the automation part of it and the no gating essentially of botting. Yes, I know it's not the same, even though you have unlimited energy or capped by your card usage, but there's I can see already ways to abuse it based on the BCX. The BCX cooldown formula, it puzzles me why it was set that way. Rewarding 2 BCX cards versus max cards. I mean, I guess if it's a ranked battle where you have to keep going up, you obviously can't win with 2 BCX cards, but there's a lot of question marks. At the end of the day, here's how I would sum it up. Splinterlands is now Botterlands, because 2/3 of the game's rewards, essentially, for the most part, are for bots and people that don't play the game. And I don't think you can have a successful game long term if no one plays your actual game and cares about any of the things that your game actually does. So Wild will be for bots, survival mode will be for bots, and you just created basically a whole bunch of SPS out of nowhere, and you're going to drain down that SPS from the DAO moving forward, basically. So we only have SPS until 2026 before those pools are expired and the DAO has to fund it. So basically you're burning the DAO's funds at both candles now if you put a proposal in to have the DAO pay for this new game mode. So I have a lot of feelings. I need to digest it and go through the data. I just got home like 20 minutes ago, so I haven't even had a chance to review everything yet, but I'm disappointed.
So the only thing that's disappointing for you is the fact that it is going to
the fact it could be abusable. Yeah. Abusable for bot farms. Yeah.
Lorkus, what about you?
If
you want.
Tells a video about what it could do for the ecosystem. I mean, if someone had implemented what Tells had talked about, you would have a more mixed reaction from me about it. I can see the upside of what he's talking about. It's not what I want, because to me what Matt's pushing for here is to reduce the number of players in the game, and I don't understand it. For me, I have a bunch of cards, but my Rebellion cards support 3 players in my guild. I also delegate out other Chaos Legion cards so that other people can play the game. If I'm going to actually compete in all of this, none of those other delegations are going to exist, right? So we've just cut down on the number of viable players in the game, and it's hard for me to understand how that's a good choice. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what I'm looking for is more players in the game. That is what I'm looking for. I don't know how else to say it, but that's what I'm looking for. Like, when my scholar has to sit there and get timed out for like not being able to find a suitable match for like however many minutes that takes repeatedly because we don't have enough players in this game, I want more players. I'm not looking for fewer people to delegate cards to for some strategy that I don't understand. Like, I do not get it.
So you just don't get the format at all.
To me, it's counterproductive for what we're trying to do. Like, we want people to find other players and expand this game. Like, conglomerating all the cards onto single accounts, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I get you're trying to combat bot farms, but I'm not a bot farm. You're fighting my actual intent in this game, which is to make it productive. And I don't understand how that's productive for you.
Fair point.
I'll also add just another comment is, the whole point of soaking up cards was the idea for land. So either they just admitted land as an absolute failure, Or, I mean, they took the use case of land away because Matt specifically said the whole point of survival mode is to eat up cards. But it's like, that's what land was supposed to do.
And if that's the case, why are we paying Cryptomancer to make land? Like, maybe somebody should explain the strategy. To me, what this screams, I turned it off after 5 minutes when I started watching earlier. And what it screams is that there's no one to tell Matt you're being dumb. There's no one to do that. I don't know why there's no one to do that. I don't know why he can't listen to the rest of us, but there's no one that he listens to that's telling him you're being dumb. That's what this screams to me.
Now, why is it dumb? Or I guess you gave your reasons already.
We're decreasing our population with every decision, and that's harmful. Like, every decision cuts down the number of active players that we have. We haven't seen anything that's brought in players. Like, we can talk about green candles. They're greenish, but that's not more players. We have less players. Like, it's not up. So I don't like it.
I would say that this thing, just to play devil's advocate for a second, I would say that this thing doesn't primarily target you. I mean, you get a lot of satisfaction and use case out of giving cards or delegating cards. And here's the thing, whether or not that is financially viable for you, you're going to do it anyway for the most part, right? And it may end up being more financially viable for you in the long run, because I don't know what this reward pool is going to look like. And Tails, you brought up a good point of like, they're essentially printing, like, I like the fact that they're not going to the DAO initially, but that also is just printing SPS out of thin air. Not technically thin air, but like, we weren't expecting that pool to just be given out the way that it was, right? So now it's just additional inflation for somewhat of an untested format. To your thoughts about land, though, you know what's funny about this is I'm actually not against the format. This is kind of very much in line with what I was kind of expecting. I think Tails, you hit the nail on the head with your video from like a month ago, talking about the cooldown effect. So you got that part, and everything else just kind of fit for me, where it's just like, I don't know that they would make it human only. Bots seem to be like the direction that they were going, and for however you feel about bots, that is what it is. But the timing is what's awkward, because it's like this should have come out last year. You know what I mean? Like, this is something where it's just like, oh, there's a bunch of extra cards, we should do it. It doesn't fit with the overall ethos of like this new player experience and bringing people on board. So it's very confusing timing wise. And as you said earlier, like it kind of very much highlights the fact that land has not been what they wanted it to be, which, anybody with a brain could have looked at the situation and said, oh yeah, they told us land was going to eat up 75% of cards. It hasn't even eaten up like 15. So it's
they
not
haven't even turned off ABU and brawls. Like,
yeah, so
like that hurts my head. Like, every time that someone's supposed to rent gold foil, alpha, beta, untamed cards for a brawl, like, what is happening right now? This doesn't even make sense. The decisions don't make sense.
It's odd for it to come out now.
I don't understand who this is targeting. Like, who is this targeting? Like, I get it's not me, because the only reason that I would play this mode is because my scholar thought this was a better way to make money based on our agreement. So that's the only reason that this would happen for me. So I don't care for my play. I just don't understand. Like, who is this for? Like, what are you actually? Who are you hitting? Who are you targeting?
So I think what PJ did is PJ talked to bot farm owners or selected people in the community that had large collections that weren't using them on land and wanted to use bots, and he got the inputs that he wanted. I don't think he talked to necessarily a large group of people to get a good view of this. It's just my opinion.
For bot farms, like that's just the best idea I've heard all day. Game modes for bot farms, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I know the sarcasm's there. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. They saw the glory days of battles and rental markets and volume on the market where they made a commission off of every sale, every transaction, and they want to get back to that. I just think that, just like Icarus, like when you fly too close to the sun, you're going to get burned and bad things are going to happen. And we've done it twice now. we're going to do it twice now. We did it once. We hopefully, I thought, learned our lesson, and now we're going straight back and doubling down on it. And it's, again, I think they're trying to find a way to make catering to bot farms make sense and make it work. But there's a reason why no other Web3 project is going down this path, is because it doesn't work. It's just like trying to make 1 + 1 = 4. It doesn't add up, right? So they can try all they want to make this weird, dream happen. But I mean, look, at this point, the way I look at it is I hope all these bot farms and people that want to play automated Borderlands are getting in line to buy my assets, because I hope it pumps. I hope lots of green candles come, because there are better projects out there in my mind that don't require automation software to participate.
I think the thing for this, this reward pool needs to be significantly smaller, at least in the beginning. If they can prove that there is a major positive impact with the game economy with a small reward pool, then we can talk about increasing it. But I agree.
Small reward pool only works if you're not subtracting the cards from the other game modes. Like that's the only way a small reward pool works, right?
But that's exactly where I think this is going. So I think that there are a ton of bag holders. So we were talking about like the fact that this doesn't target you. I think the people that this is targeting is everybody who went heavy on Chaos Legion cards, because when the bots were here 2.5 years ago, you could buy a 1 BCX of some random Jin Chihuahua and get like an 80% ROI. And so people just ended up with all of these extra cards, which now do not have any rental value because there's no new players to come in and rent them. And unlike you, Lorkus, people aren't interested in managing scholars, and they cannot mass bot all these different things. So it's targeting those players, for better or for worse. That to me is like the avatar of what this is going after. It's all these players who have all of these assets, who are either pouting loudly in Discord or quietly, to Matt in DMs. And it's like, okay, well, here's a mode where we'll give you some SPS for this, because you're not earning DEC renting out the cards anymore, right? You haven't had that for the last 2 years or so.
Here's the problem there, son. I don't mean to interrupt, but the problem is all these assets can be botted with a wild pass, with automation software and wild format. The problem is the rewards suck because there's still too many bots for that reward pool. So what they basically did is they just duplicated that reward pool. They created rewards out of nowhere and said, here's a subsidy. Here's how you can get some of your bag holding money back, either through this mode, botting this mode, or renting your cards out to other people that want to bot this mode. So you get twice as fast a way to exit that you wouldn't have otherwise. Because I disagree with the point that all these people that have these Chaos Legion cards or packs or assets couldn't use them. They can use them today, absolutely, in Wild. They can bot in Wild, but the rewards suck and you got to pay for it. So no one does it because it's not profitable. That's the whole point. Bot farms don't do things if it's not profitable. So what they did is they created, basically a subsidy out of their funds, which they're going to only do for a temporary period of time. And then they're going to put a proposal out that the DAO's going to have to pick up this. And people aren't doing the accounting and the math. There's no financial accountant in charge of the DAO saying, hey, in 2026, we're already, I don't know how many months, or I think it was, I don't know. I don't want to quote it because I don't know how many months it was. It was a large amount of months, maybe close to a year or something. I had a schedule or something that we had overpaid SPS rewards already for, that were already accelerated the timeline for the original SPS reward pool for ranked battles. So that bill's coming due. And someone needs to run the math to say, hey, in 2026, whenever the reward pools run dry, the SPS DAO is going to have to pick up X amount of SPS per month, which is going to last the game until Y. And then they're going to have to do the math and say, if we got to fund this pool, which is double the wild reward pool, which is, let's say, effectively, again, I guess the math would be, cutting in half your runway for your SPS DAO to fund the game. You're basically robbing, your future generation of players and survivability of the game to pay off the old boomers that are here now that want to get paid. So, it's just bad math, and it's a game that ends poorly, sooner rather than later.
I would like to just interrupt on an entirely far more technical disagreement. I don't manage scholars. My scholars manage me. I'm not a very smart man. They take care of everything.
I mean, regardless, it's still like there's still an element there of extra work. And to Tails' point, what's interesting about this situation now is I think you said it perfectly, right? It's a subsidy, because all those players who are all those bag holders, card holders, whatever you want to call them, they're hanging on to those cards. And the hope is that this game mode is going to be so awesome that people are going to go and they're going to buy extra cards. They're going to rent extra cards just to participate in it. And my thinking, at least initially, is that, well, if this is geared towards people who already have large collections, there's no market activity from them, right? So we're banking on market activity coming in from another group of people, someone like myself, who's like, oh, I can go rent out a bunch of, Chaos Legion Reward cards for 0.1 DEC max copies, right? Let me go see if I can min-max this. Okay, maybe I have the time, maybe some other people have the time to do that. Maybe it ends up being successful. I don't know, but that's...
What value does it add to the ecosystem? Yeah. It's a short-term pump in rental prices and maybe some card prices.
Well,
but no, what value does it add? Are you going to be if you're that player that's renting these cards or buying these cards,
market
you're just
activity will
them,
burn.
Right?
Market activity will burn DEC. Market activity will actually make us feel a certain amount of scarcity. Now, will it be enough? Because Chaos Legion is just so stupidly big that will it be enough for us to actually feel that? I don't know. But there will be something felt there. The problem is, and Tails, I keep going back to this because I think you called it out perfectly. The problem is that, sure, we're going to burn all this extra DEC. People might even buy those potions to revive their players and whatever. But is that going to be enough to offset the new SPS that's coming into the mix?
You're hoping that all this new SPS that's getting into the mix is being circulated around in the ecosystem and generates a bunch of activity in the marketplace, right? Mm-hmm. What the bots have traditionally shown is they're not here to donate and be charitable as an organization. They're here to extract and dump SPS. It's why there's a one-way arrow on the SPS chart, and it's not going in the right direction. If history has taught us anything, is if you bring the bots back, you have a lot of market activity, but you also have a lot of dumping of SPS, faster than before, more dumping than buying. It's not like, majority of these bot farms are going to, earn all this SPS with all their assets, and then all of a sudden start buying $1,300 Heloise cards because they like the art, right? I mean, that's not why
I think it's just more accurate, more precise to say, from my perspective, that with the SPS and DEC values as they are, this doesn't make a lot of sense because no one's burning SPS for DEC. They're selling SPS to buy DEC to rent cards to sell more SPS, which is a negative cycle. It's the opposite of what we're looking for. One is good, one is bad. But there are a crap load of comments that people have said over here.
Let's jump into that. I think we've commiserated enough. Let's see. We can get some other opinions in here outside of ours. All right. So Renee says, "What's the overall impression?" Well, you heard our thoughts initially. I actually, to be honest, the rest of the town hall was fine. I mean, again, nothing delivering in 2024 is disappointing, but I prepared myself for that. Keeg says, thanks for the tofu delegation last week. It was awesome to use. Snowball says, I'm looking forward to getting lots of wood. Congratulations, sir. I had a lot of fun with Bank of the Vile.
Yeah, that actually really annoyed me about I had no idea that the idea of wood and stone was to continuously use it on a plot. I thought the idea would be to what building materials are for, build a building, not just use a plot to transfer one material into another. I don't even understand how that makes sense, except that they realize that they have no sinks. It's just, to me, once again, poor planning.
Well, they don't. Yeah, they don't have any syncs that were, I guess, part of the game originally, but it looks like they're adding these syncs for SPS and research now. So instead of just grain, you're gonna have something there. Which, again, I mean, all the stuff getting burned is fine. If the whales want to play that whale game, that's great.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, make it make sense.
I'm sorry, man. After 3 years here, I can't make it make sense either. We just play the game. People's Guild, what's going on? Keegs, GG's. Yeah, you crushed me in round 1, so I guess I'm out now. Oh, thank you for the Lorkus, by the way, Lorkus. That was fun to use this past week.
You're welcome.
So Snowball says, I know Tails isn't happy with the answer to my question. Yeah. So when that question came up, the question about how many, like, the numbers or analytics on players banned.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think? Like, am I being crazy if I give out a over under 10,000 accounts that have been banned in Modern? Do you think people have been trying?
So here's.
Do you think it's 10,000? Like, I haven't heard about anything. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just putting I'm putting a ridiculously high number out there because I wonder how many people they've caught and how many people have tried. Maybe that's the question.
Well, it's a non-answer. I mean, it was a complete dodge by Investigator, and I like Investigator, but I mean, look, they're not spilling the secret sauce of how they detect stuff or, their methods or their tooling or anything like that. We're just asking for transparency on what's going on. Are you enforcing stuff? How bad is the problem, or is it, not a problem at all? And you can share numbers. Numbers is not like data like that is not, a bad thing to share. It's if you share what tools you use, how you're detecting stuff, that stuff you don't share, obviously, because then, basically the bad guys can use it against you. But if you say, hey, we caught, X, Y, Z number of bad people since we brought on Siler, and we're seeing decreasing trends in people trying to thwart the system. It's working. Great. That's all we need to hear.
They said like how many people, like even if you said names, people could potentially investigate those accounts like for anomalies and how they did it on the blockchain. But if you just said numbers of accounts, I think people would feel a lot better that you were doing something.
Yeah.
Or maybe the numbers are so low that they're worried to say them because they just feel like they'll still feel like you're doing something. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
If I was in that position, obviously I want transparency and integrity, but I would lie, man. I would say, yeah, we've been banning a ton of accounts. It's been quite a bit, and we've lost track. But we're on top of this.
We can't even keep track of the number of accounts we banned.
I mean, just to show that you're actually doing something. Here's the thing. I'm sure that they are. I hope that it was a non-answer because maybe the number is higher than we're expecting.
But at least that shows that they understand the number and they're being diligent and they're actually doing something. By giving a non-answer, it just leads to doubt. And it leads to questioning, what is going on there. Because, I mean, look, it's not, you're not, sharing the government's secrets of aliens in Area 51 with us, right? You're just basically reassuring us that you're keeping the game's integrity in place.
I want to give Investigator the benefit of the doubt because I think it was a question that would have required numbers, and he might have been in a position where he just didn't want to blurt out any number because he wasn't sure what it might have been. So I think that this is something we should follow up on, whether it's in like the town hall chat, because I feel like Investigator actually would try to answer the question. It didn't like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it didn't seem like he was dodging because there was some shady reason. It just seemed like he was not.
Just ask if it was bigger or smaller than a bread box.
Do we got a baker's dozen, or is it where's it at? All right, let's keep going on the chat. So yeah, if you're supposed to survive, says Bananas, you should think you shouldn't be able to use a bot. I think it would be manual play.
Does the service go down if it loses? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to work with Siler and what's the other one? Archmage.
Yeah, so, when you invite the fox into the hen house to guard it, this is what you get.
So Renee says, I agree about a lot about the bot problems. We want players and investors, not botters. Add to the ecosystem. I have 35,000 plus battles manually. Just wanted to flex. Well done.
There's a flex. Nice.
Ankh is here. What's going on? Ankh, what do you think of the new game mode? You, as somebody who has a ton of cards, well, actually, I don't know if you have a ton of cards, but You have a
She
large
has a
family.
huge value of cards. Like,
Yeah,
that
you,
is.
you keep flexing your family on. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Because he might be one of the people that they're targeting. People's Guild says, I appreciate what Tails and Lorkus are saying. I'm glad it's the team funding rewards. But for the DAO proposal, for the DAO to fund indefinitely. If this is geared to address the CL oversupply, I'm okay with running the experiment. Okay, yeah, I'm actually, again, I'm not that against it. It's exactly what I thought it would be. And I'm
It's
all
an experiment.
for,
You should have an expected result, and you should have some sort of data about what it's going to do. Either you haven't done your homework, or you're lying to us just so that we don't know what your expectations are. You're sandbagging. So I don't know which one it is, but I don't like either one. Experiments are fine, but you should do better than just like have a blind experiment.
Oh, but this is crypto, man. Everything's a blind experiment. That's like literally how they talk about the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add to that. I mean, I think Bjangles could organize, probably 24 dedicated testers. They spin up an environment and people would find the loopholes and figure out the challenges very quickly and do it probably for free and spend their own time doing it.
Engage the community. There's some really dedicated people here.
Agreed. But here's the thing. What loopholes come to your mind initially? And because I want to try and...
They don't come to my mind because I don't exploit shit very well. Like, that's why you give it to a group of people that know how to test, because they will find the loopholes. Like, I never expect like somebody to mint 10 billion DC out of some shit. Like, my brain doesn't work that way.
Okay,
so
I'm not talking about...
Clearly Nats doesn't either. So
I'm not talking about like infrastructure issues. I mean, that will be a problem. My thought is, okay, if it's going to be a format just like any and every other,
I can already tell you how I would break it after some.
Okay, please. That's what I want to know, because I want to make sure we're getting worked up over the right things and not just because bot's bad. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I'm Philip Doe, I have 10,000 bot accounts that have soulbound cards with summoners, right? Each of those I can spin up and run in the new format for free and get, let's say I get, if the rewards are like wild, let's say I can run those up and get, with no rentals, 1 SPS per account every 2 days, because they're not super high level cards, as an example, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm printing 20,000 SPS every 2 days, because you don't think 1 SPS is too unreasonable to win.
No,
how many battles is that? 2 battles? 1 battle? Half a battle? So this is the point. Already you've got bot farms that have soulbound reward cards, Chaos Legion soulbound reward cards, which have summoners, which can be used. They probably have 6 summoners. I don't know how many summoners are in that set.
Like,
you have 10,000 accounts. Yeah, you have 10,000 accounts. They can run 6 battles every couple days, and let's say they print 3 SPS per account. That's, like I said, that's let's say you don't even have 10,000 accounts. Let's just say you have 1,000 accounts. Well, every 3 days you're printing 3,000 SPS that you're extracting out of the ecosystem. You're not renting any cards. You're not buying any more spell books. I mean, what more do you need? That's it right there. And I'm not even talking about the cooldown abuse they can get by renting 2 BCX cards off the rental market right now.
Well, not to mention they could also win trade amongst themselves in this new format, right? So you just have 1 BCX cards against each other. Well, so, somebody, I forgot who it was, but somebody brought up the topic of soulbound reward cards, and for the first time, I thought to myself, I think I want to discriminate against soulbound reward cards. I think if something is soulbound, maybe it shouldn't be allowed in hardcore mode. That if the design of that is to be using up real cards and giving utility to all this excess of cards, let's not allow
exception of unlocked soulbound reward cards.
Yes, yeah. Well,
if you unlock them.
Yes, unlocked. We'll call like the unlocked ones NFTs, right? Anything else that's unlocked is still soulbound. So that could solve a lot of the problems, and I wonder if they'll take that back to the war room. It would motivate
people to unlock soulbound cards, which is actually something I've been very curious about. If there was any motivation to get people that want the same account forever to unlock them for real, and that could actually be a reason. That's very interesting.
Well, either way, it would shut down Philip Doe, right? Because Philip Doe doesn't have any summoners. He only has the first and second waves of what's that called? First and second waves of those cards, whatever it is. Chaos Legion reward cards before we got to Soulbound. So there's no summoners there. So you would either get him to sit this out, or you would get him to go and rent a bunch of summoners on the market, which again, what's the cost benefit? If he's going to come in and he's going to rent a bunch of summoners for 100 DEC a day for his 10,000 accounts, but then walk away with 20,000 SPS, I mean, that's not a good trade, right? So that is a legitimate fear there. And I wonder, you know what, Tails? Does this get solved if they put a wild pass there?
So this is what we talked about, I think, just the other day, right? Is the fact that as soon as you put a wild pass into this game mode where the cost is greater than the rewards, then you don't have bots because they can't extract and farm it. This is why, which is the opposite of what they want to do. They want bots to extract and farm here because it generates short-term market volume, revenues, and sales and rentals. That's what they want. They're basically selling the future for the survival of today. And
pessimism is so much steeper than my own. It's great.
I'm going to disagree with that. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to disagree with that. Because we've always had to distinguish between bot farms and individual botting, right? And individual account bots, right? So someone like a Archmage or Xbot versus these.
Well, exactly. Farms. You don't have bot farms in Wild really for the most part because it's not profitable today. As soon as you put a Wild pass in survival mode, you're not going to cater to bot farms and you're not going to have the demand that you're trying to generate in the market.
Well, I beg to differ because I do think that there are enough people in this game, myself even included, right? Where I'm just sitting on a bunch of extra 1 to 5 BCX cards, whatever it is, where if I can't rent those cards out, and I probably don't have critical mass where it would make sense for me, but I'm sure that there are many others out there where it's like, if I can't rent those cards out, I'm not getting any value. If I were to throw, maybe they make it like a 1,000 DEC pass, right? Whatever it is, just so that there's a little bit of a speed bump there. If they put that in, then you do get players of all calibers from like our level all the way up to the whales.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for it. Like, if you're going to allow automation and bots like you do in the wild format, then you need to put a wild pass. You need to put some kind of gate in there to make sure it's not farmable. So I agree with you that if they did, look, there's 2 levels of bad, right? Mm-hmm. There's allowing bots, which is the first level of bad, and if you get to that level, you better put at least a gate or a lock on your door in your house, right? And that's what the wild pass is. So if you're looking at levels of bad, I mean, if you're already going to let automation in there, at least put a wild pass in there just to minimize extraction from large farms. That should be at a minimum what should be done. But again, if you listen to my video on survivor mode, look, when I talk about hardcore mode in my video, it's basically what we're talking about here, except with the caveat that you needed players to play with the assets or use scholars to play it for them, because now you actually have engagement in the game and people are playing the game. It's not just a DeFi idle clicker. I mean, it's not even an idle clicker at that point because you're just sending a bot to do its, thing and extract. So, and maybe it's more of a philosophical argument more than anything else. I think that's a
big part of it. Yeah.
Because, and maybe this is just me, but I don't think you can have a successful Web3 game, the keyword being game, if no one plays your game. And that's just me. And maybe that's a hill I die on, and that's just how I feel about it. But I mean, if you're a game and you're selling assets that you want to take a premium for people to get some type of enjoyment out of it, as well as maybe recoup some of the value in the future, perhaps, or maybe make some money on the way. Mm-hmm. That's what a game for Web3 is about. If you just want a DeFi project where you buy like a token or a coin and you stake it and you yield farm it, that's not a game. That's a DeFi platform. And that's why I say we're going to Borderlands. I mean, this is becoming Borderlands.
But let's not delude ourselves. This has always been a DeFi platform. I mean, this is a DeFi platform that has a nice kind of interesting game built into it. Right. So I get it because people have become very idealistic about where Splinterlands can go from a gaming perspective. And maybe I'm just cynical about it now. But, like stuff like this doesn't surprise me just because it's exactly where they wanted to go. Right. The way that I'm thinking through it. And again, I'm not trying to be super negative. I'm trying to take the devil's advocate here. role on the opposite of you guys. Like I can see a situation in which someone like Ankh, for example, right? All of a sudden he's posting on Twitter, not the welcome to the family, but, you know, welcome to the army. And all of a sudden he's getting all these, like, you know, max Jin O'Shaughnesses for like 10 cents a pop. And then going in and trying to dominate the leaderboard on whatever this thing is, right? I can see
You
him
should
doing
continue
that
the comments
versus,
on this side, because he specifically said he's not doing that.
He's not doing it. Okay.
We should continue that.
Fine. Ankh was a bad example, but others like Ankh, you know what I'm saying?
His brother OMZ, maybe we can use.
Yeah, his brother, maybe. All right, let's continue the comments. We always get bogged down, but it's good conversation. All right, so you think Absalom ain't playing this mode without a bot? I'm tired. Yeah, bots for the win. All right, so red carpet for bot farms. Catering to bot farms is so dumb, says Leandro. Agreed, Tails. Leandro says we finally got rid of them. Keep them away. This sounds like a bunch of bad news. Jobby Saints, what's up? So single player says Matt continuously states this is a game that he wants to play. IDT anything? I don't know what that means. IDT anything else?
I don't
think anything matters. Yep. People's Guild agree it's worth a try. A 6-month window. So here's the thing, just quickly going back to the wild pass aspect of it, right? Matt even mentioned that they're not going to do a wild pass. They're not going to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to see how this goes. And again, we're not going to stop them at this point, right? They're going to do it. My hope is that we can apply pressure where it's like, hey, this stuff looks like it's getting abused after 2 seasons. Can we have a conversation?
Why wait for 2 seasons for it to be abused? Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, during the town hall, they should QA it for one. And if not, they should ask for, you know, a select.
We should at least go make a proposal tomorrow to ban soulbound cards, like, right? Like, can that be a thing that happens?
I am with. So here's the thing, Tails. I'm with you on that. I think what's that called? I think if you're gonna allow automation, you have to put in a wild pass. So I'm in favor of that. All I'm saying is at this point in time, he has said that is not the plan. So my next kind of contingent move is, well, let's immediately try to throw the data back in their face and be like, hey, this is an issue after 1 season or 2 seasons. Can we get this changed? Because we don't want this to continue. But I agree with you. I think the soulbound issue, as you just mentioned, Lorkus, as well as a wild season pass would go a long way. And, you know, it seemed like they were trying to rush this out for this year, which is no longer happening. And I think that's a good thing, because maybe they'll have some conversations. Maybe they'll get some feedback from the rest of the community at this point, bring it back and implement something, whatever it is, but I hope that there's some kind of wild pass. Matthew Young says that was a hype town hall. Just got done listening. I was a bit late. Matthew Young, don't worry, you came at the right time. We're all super hyped about it now. Keek says I love it. Makes sense. OSP says time to market, yet BTC on the cusp of 100k. Mass media adoption. Altcoin season still not here. Don't worry, I'm sure alt season will be coming soon. Crypto MZ, thanks for the tofu last week. To Lorkus.
Yeah, just make top 10 this week.
Nice. So Ankh says I would not play survival mode. Yes, no soulbounds in survival. Disable soulbound for sure. 100% agree they shouldn't be allowed in survival. I'd rather play wild. I think there'd be less than 100 players in survival mode.
It's like you're right about like Chaos Legion, massive Chaos Legion collections being the target here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there would be quite a few of those. But I think kicking soulbound cards out and keeping Chaos Legion people around, even if they aren't playing, has some value. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're convincing me with your optimistic skepticism or something.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video on this. Obviously, I think there's value in a survival mode or hardcore mode being introduced to the game. I'm on record multiple times talking about that the game should make you make tough decisions with what to do with your assets, and add sinks, burns, and utility wherever possible. So from that perspective, I mean, this mode in theory does just that and gives a purpose for things like overprinted Chaos Legion. But I think with no guardrails in place, with no pass, with just allowing basically bot farms come back in here and do what you did before, I just think it's
to summarize what Tails is saying is what feels like no thought.
Well, it's just irresponsible and reckless, is I guess what I would say. But I mean, look, it's their game; they can do whatever they want, and we as asset holders can do whatever we want. So that's what's going to happen, basically.
Yeah. So Greg says Borderlands. Hope y'all have a good night. Hope to join the tourney next.
I hope you're naming your next video that. Fails.
Borderlands.
Yeah.
Welcome to Borderlands. Leandro says, for the first time, I'm thinking about selling everything. Oh, we scared him away, guys.
We need to be more not pessimistic. What is that? I don't remember what that is called anymore.
I don't have much, so the hit wouldn't be felt. Killing Me Softly, Archon Gaming won $100,000 Bitcoin. Dude, I tried, man. I tried today. I streamed twice today because I thought maybe it'd happen, and it's gonna happen probably tomorrow. For anybody who's following MicroStrategy, the dude just raised like another $3 billion, so I wouldn't be surprised if you wake up to some green candles. Still not worth it. Battle Pass is the way, says Ankh.
He's not talking about Bitcoin right now, I'm pretty sure. I think he's back to the previous conversation.
Oh, still not worth it. Who? Ankh? Oh, yeah. Matthew says, oh, well, I was thinking I'd come in here and see some excitement, but the bears are out of hibernation. So yes, the bear. This has been a very bearish conversation, but I don't think it's a reason to be bearish yet. The mode is not out yet, and I think we just came across like the one or two things that could make it at least much more palatable and remove or reduce everything. Like it's just a wild season pass, and then the soulbound cards.
And I'm not a bear. I'm still looking for 3 gold foil BCX. Anyone want to sell me 2 BCX gold foil Demise Archon or 1 BCX Red Worm Dragon? This is what I'm looking for. Help me out.
There you go. All right, so
Lorkus still buying.
Lorkus is still buying. Langy's beat me in the first round. I hope he wins the tourney. We should probably check on where the tournament's at. I haven't heard any comments.
Oh yeah, there's a tournament going on.
I guess again, maybe while you're looking up the tournament for Frodo's comment there, the cards being the energy, makes sense. When your card is defeated, it goes on cooldown. The problem is the cooldown formula doesn't make sense, where cards that have less BCX come off cooldown faster than cards that are max BCX. I think one of the examples in the article is like a max rare was like 7.5 days for cooldown, and like a 2 BCX card was like a couple hours. So, it's like what it does is it makes you want to spam, shit cards as much as possible with no energy restriction. So that's again, these are things that if you test and you put a group together that can find the loopholes, would harden your game mode, and when you release it, prevent abuse and damage to the economy. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. The CEO doesn't even know what's going to happen. It's just kind of like, well, let's see what happens. We'll figure it out as we go.
So frequently, something new that could be good comes out and it gets exploded immediately, and then no one is willing to mess with it. My dog is very excited right now. And that's what I feel like is going to happen here. Like exactly to Tell's point. Like give a lot of people, whoever number of people, the ability to test it and get some feedback, and stop it sucking on release. Let's not do suck first and fix it. Let's try trials and fix things and not have it suck.
This is the whole MVP release mentality, right? Like put it out, let it break, and fix it.
I'm familiar with the philosophy. Yes, I still think it's stupid, but I'm familiar with the philosophy.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of MVP either. That being said, I'm not as bearish as you guys are on this game mode, because here's the thing, even on the energy issue, right? Like there is a natural finite amount of energy, which is the finite amount of cards in the game. And sure, Tails, you can say like, okay, if you want to spam like 10,000 of these 1 BCX Pelacor bandits, you're still going to need 10,000 summoners to put them into the game. And I forgot what the cooldown timers were, but if you you're right, if you lose, but
the cooldown again, if you have the 1 BCX, how many games are you going to win if
you're playing with 1 BCX cards though?
But the bots don't need time or numbers. They have infinite, basically. So you give them, let's say you have again, the Soulbound Summoners is a loophole that we know is restricted to like 6 per account. We already talked about how that scales by the number of accounts. But, you have a bunch of people rip open Chaos Legion Summoners. They make 2 BCX Thaddeus Broods and 2 BCX, whatever the other summoners are, Kelias or Obsidian or whatever. And you just spam, basically 100, 500 of those, and then just spam them every couple hours because the cooldown formula is such where they can do that. Now, again, they may only be earning at that level of, the battles in survival mode. They may be only earning 0.1 SPS, 0.5 SPS. Who knows what they are earning? But because there's no energy cap, and because there's automation involved, they're going to be ramming as many battles as they can as soon as they come off cooldown, and you're not going to see people combining cards up to max level and trying to have single accounts. You're going to see multiple accounts with, I guess you don't even need multiple accounts necessarily unless you want to abuse Soulbound, but basically just a bunch of 2 B6 summoners in the current landscape, spamming every couple hours.
So, okay, there's a lot of things that we don't know about this yet. Primarily, the biggest one is how big is this reward pool going to be?
Unless they just said it was the same as the other.
It's the same as Wild. They're duplicating the Wild reward pool.
They just said
so they're going to be paying out like 5 million SPS a month?
Yeah, whatever that pool is currently, because it goes down over time, the reward pool.
It's
but whatever.
5 million right now.
The reward pool for Modern is X million per month. The reward pool for Wild is X million per month, and they're matching the reward pool for Wild. So like I said before, 2/3 of the ranked battles is Borderlands now. Majority of the rewards being given out in this game are to automated accounts and not.
So if I can give the slightly less bearish news, I was over here chatting with my scholar, asking him, and he was like, I think this sounds like fun. I can't wait. I hope it's good. So maybe Lorkus will be playing.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's easy to be negative because we've been negative the last 3 years. So I get where you're coming from. I maintain that there's a lot of potential with this, and I think it's good that we're having the conversation now of what are these potential loopholes or exploits that might be there. I'll make a bet with you for an unspecified amount of SPS because I'm not actually going to bet.
Yeah.
I don't believe this is
unspecified number bets.
I don't believe this is going to come out without a wild pass, or if it does, I think I would not give it more than 4 seasons, which would be like 2 months after it arrives, that they would not implement a wild pass or significantly change things around.
Look, I agree with you 100% after. I'm not going to take that back because I hope that it happens. Like, I hope they implement it in advance. I hope they look. Like I said, I did a video on this. The mode as it exists is a good thing. It's basically the removal of the guardrails and the safety. It's like basically giving an 18-year-old male a Lamborghini and say, go have fun. It's a really nice car, but it's not going to be a real nice car for long, right? You got to put some guardrails in there to make sure that you can have a Lamborghini by the next day. So that's all. We agree. Look, this is, again, sinks and burns and utility, tough choices for your assets in the game. Adding these types of things, mechanics, are what we all want for the game. It's just you have to also be smart about it and put the right framework around the game mode. Because if you just introduce a game mode that's really, in theory, good for the game, and you don't properly test it and implement it, then are you really doing your job? So yeah, I mean, look, is this a positive in the long-term scheme of things? Yes. Will they fix it? Hopefully. Should they fix it on day one? Yes. Will they do it? I mean, I don't give it much hope. I mean, honestly, based on their track record.
Yeah, and,
I like the comments over there from Quantum Chaos Theory. I thought that's a really interesting one.
All right, so Quantum Chaos Theory says, I think the community should look at a third ranked game mode as an opportunity to pressure the company to push more bots into less modes by requiring either wild or survival allow bots with a wild pass and the other two not allow bots. Therefore, we go from half bots to 1/3 no bots.
Makes sense to me.
Oh, so
I mean,
you're saying
those fractions work out, but yeah.
So you make
the community pick. Like, is
so
it
make,
wild or
make
is it
survival be the bot one? That could be interesting.
Or have the community pick. Like, if the community picks the wild, like if the people that would rather have a bot play for them would prefer wild, then have survival be the non-bot one. Like, but to me, that's a great point. It's like, let the community pick which one.
Quantum Nachos, this is a phenomenal idea, because you know what the biggest complaint about wild is the fact that people who bought cards like 3-4 years ago on, alpha, beta, now they're like, wait, I have to pay to play my cards in a ranked mode. This sucks. I don't like that. Whereas if you open up wild and make it human only along with modern, yeah, this is actually a brilliant idea. You should really push it
a lot
on Discord. And then we just move all the wild pass and everything into this survival mode, and I mean, let the bots have at it, right?
Or if like the old card players would rather be in survival mode, let them pick, but like pick one.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Let's see what else we got here. Matthew says he has a red worm dragon. If you're interested in connecting with him,
let's chat.
All right, so someone sold a validated license for 1.2k hive. Nice.
That's crazy. That's like what, $230 or something. That's above what they have been going for.
That's like the going rate, isn't it? So I understand the response tails. They just better be on top of win trading. Yeah, I agree. And to throw a little defense to the team, I think I don't believe that they're like, oh, we need to. I know that I've said this in the past, where they're trying to get the benefit of like bot farms without the cons, but I think that they're very well aware of the impact of bot farms, and I think the fact that even that they implemented the wild pass, which is not even on any of our radars 6 months ago, right? They implemented that as a way to reduce and remove as much extraction as possible. Just signals to me that like Matt understands the damage that potential bot farms can do. And sure, if he was blind to it when he put, this post together and this whole thing together, my hope is that there'll be enough people talking to him, whether on the team or whether through the community into the team, that'll be like, yo, we know that you're not down with bot farms. Like, this is something that you should probably just do a double take on before you launch this in January.
It's a really good point, because there is a distinction in my mind between bot farms and people that use a bot service to automate their cards. Finding that balance is probably impossible, but it's an interesting one to shoot for.
Well, bot farms, because here's the thing, like, this is, if you think about it, it's not trying to cater to bot farms in its purest form, right? And again, everything can become unadulterated if it's or adulterated if there's an exploit. But all it's trying to do is like get people to consolidate all their extra cards into an account and then play the game that way, right? And you're allowed to bot if you'd like. The idea is not that you just spread it out across a bunch of different accounts. Again, that might be the exploit, but that's not the intention. So if that's the exploit, hopefully we can shine a light on it before they have it go live. Supreme Victory says Glad on stake last week. Damn, people getting really bearish right now. Warp speed not. Quantum Nachos, this is a good idea. I really like it. If it's a failure, where do they go from here? There, how to recover? I think they just turn it off. I think it's an experiment, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Renee says, I would like to have non-bot game mode, but be able to use my wild cards. Yeah, see, I think this is why Quantum Nachos' thing is a great idea. Matthew says, I guess I can't blame the community for jumping straight to the conclusion that it's going to fail considering where we've come from. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of things that we thought would be awesome ended up not being. So I understand the cynicism, but I'm in.
Waka's great.
Waka's great. Make Waka great again.
I'm so happy I bought that card.
So make survival pass required and wild free again. Yeah. GHFC for a rare summon or 2B CX will be 300, 12.3 days. Yeah. All right, not a couple of hours. All right, my mistake. I have a red room hatchling. Oh, that's not what we want. So Swell says, I missed the town halls. Was there anything else big other than the new mode? I don't know. I was kind of listening in the background while I was at the gym. Was there anything else? I remember they said that. Oh, you did? Okay. The big news is that there's no big news in 2024. Ouch, that hurts my soul. Oh, that's the one thing I wanted, was just one out of the 6 things that they have going on to launch this year. and then Matt said the thing that just, it pierced me through the heart, because I'm like, oh, here we are already shifting the goalpost, because he's like, yeah, you know, we have all these things. We have 6 things that we're trying to get out in Q1. But we may not even get them out in Q1. Some of them might slip into Q2. And I was like, no, don't say that. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting another 4 damn months for this. Come on. The bull
Remember
run's
the
taking
feedback
off.
form they sent like a year ago, where they were asking like what the feedback you have for the team was? That was literally all of my feedback. Every freaking comment section was deliver on time. Like, you can't get dollars from anybody if you don't deliver on time. Like, I don't understand how this company is still functioning. Like, it never delivers on time. So deliver on time.
Well,
Deliver on time.
It's funny. It's just funny because they've done actually a phenomenal job of not giving timelines anymore. And somehow I still find myself disappointed by the timelines. Like,
I know, it's really frustrating. The
like a year ago,
absolute
he's like, we're not doing
failure on
timelines.
timelines.
We're not doing timelines. We're just giving rough, vague quarters. But then even like the quarters
it's
end up
still
becoming
off.
like the next one. It's like, oh, don't give me hope, man. Don't give me hope. I had so much hope for Q4 of this year, and then it's just not happening. All right, so May says BTC might be making a push. It's sitting around 99K. Wait, who won the tournament, first of all?
It's a really good question.
We just
should
really
we watch
did not
like
pick.
at least? Should we watch one battle maybe?
Yeah, let's watch the final battle. It's a great, yeah.
And
it's a
Soul
great
just did a
call-out.
new all-time high.
Watch the final
I realized I had
The
some Soul sitting in a
final
wallet from a game that failed, and I don't even know how to get it off of Soul.
Wow.
So it's just, I guess, getting value.
This went to 5 battles, and you know what? I'm gonna watch this even though it hurts my soul because it's back to basics. Oh, you know, I don't know that my
Back to
computer can
basics
handle
are
this
really
performance. So we'll see. Okay.
Oh man, you have the patience for 2x speed? Ah,
Thorns.
I commend you.
Dude, I can't handle anything faster than this now. For some reason, like with the new way that it is, like I just get lost in the battle.
I always want it fast.
And I've been playing this game for 3 years. Okay, I'll speed it up to this.
I know you can have it however you, whatever
Okay,
whatever
maybe I just need to
wrong
get
way
used to
you
it.
like the best. It's fine.
Wow,
Just me.
this is the most boring battle I've ever seen in my life.
It's back to basics. Like, what did you expect?
They really need to remove back to basics. I'm so close to being done. All right, so congratulations to Langeese. Oh, we got to give away some cards. So Langeese,
Dude,
IWLWA, Dragon Host, Keegs.
who do we
We
have
can do
this
like
year?
the top 4 if you guys want to. Or yeah, if you guys are in the chat, throw your IGN in. I mean, not your IGN. Throw your IGN and your desired card from the list, which should be in the description. All right, hold on. MicroStrategy. I just got a notification. MicroStrategy dumped 425, so something's going on right now.
Oh.
It means Michael Saylor is smash buying Bitcoin while he's in bed.
First world problems. Yeah, and a shout out to, I think I'm gonna have a problem pronouncing it. It's the IWL user. Didn't they come in the finals last week as well?
They were first last week.
Yeah, so I thought they
recognize
won
the name.
last week. So
Yeah.
good showing
Well
2
done.
weeks in a
Well
row.
done.
Congratulations.
Indeed. I couldn't
And
even make this round.
shout out to GHFC for correcting my math. He is correct. I did the math there and just verified that. And it's not a reverse formula. So he is correct in that the lower BCXs don't have an advantage on cooldowns. So good call out there, GHFC.
That is great to know. Yeah.
Oh, so there is so because I thought I heard Matt say that where there is an advantage to playing higher level cards. They have shorter cooldown.
They have a shorter cooldown. It looked like when maybe I just misread the formula, but it looked like it was an inverse relationship, but it's actually
might have just been decreasing benefit, maybe
something.
Yeah. So it is a correct formula. So
Crypto OMZ had to jump out. Matthew Young, all right. Soul just hitting you all-time high. I respect your services, Splinterlands. Thanks, Druids. SVS is back to 1 cent at least. Soul new all-time high. Wow. Keegs, let's go. Matthew says, hell yeah. BTC's pushing new all-time high too. Let's see where it ends up tonight. Hopefully we reach 100K today. Sounds like
Tofu's definitely on the list.
So here's a question for you, After Sound, not Splinterland specific, but it's November 21st. And we're on the precipice of 100K Bitcoin. Where do you see Bitcoin in June of next year, which is over 7 months from now? Where are we at?
Well, let's do.
Do we need to get Nova on?
Do
we need to get Nova on to help us with this?
Nova's not going to give us a thing. She doesn't even like Bitcoin. No, Nova's not going to help us. So. Anything Lin May and go away. Dude, I don't know. It really just depends on how quickly the new administration can get all of the stuff that they're trying to do. If it is true that it's not just sailor buying right now, and you've had a lot of early nation state adoption trying to front run the U.S. government, then yeah, I mean, Bitcoin this thing is going to get wild in a couple of months. Gosh, it's hard to say. I don't know where it's going to go. I just think it's going to be higher than a lot of people expect. I think the general consensus was that we would reach anywhere between 200,000 to 300,000 and top out there. Personally, I think it goes higher than that. I just don't think it goes higher for long. I think it's a blow off top that is completely unreasonable, unsustainable, and then we hit some massive bear market. And I actually think we're going to hit the bear market earlier this time around. I know there's this theory that the cycles kind of extend a little bit further, but I'm really afraid of inflation popping back up. So that's on the macro side. That being said, the thing is, it doesn't really matter how the U.S. economy is doing. If the rest of the world starts buying, then I think this gets silly. So maybe by May, you know me, how I feel about predictions, but I would say that I think we're at some point, not even May, but at some point next year, I wouldn't be surprised if we went over mid 6 figures, if we went over 500K. But again, how long that lasts, I don't think it'll be long. And I think it'll just be like 2017-esque, right? Where we touched 20K and then immediately went down back to 14.
I think it's interesting because, when a lot of people had originally talked about this next bull cycle, they were talking about US ETFs and investors like boomers putting it in their portfolio for 401ks and IRAs and stuff. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you have nation states competing for a virtual gold rush, where there's not limitations on, geography, right? Mm-hmm. It's just first in, first, pricing, right? So it's interesting to think a competition of nation states in addition to citizens trying to get in at the same time, what that looks like even, right? Because you've already seen posts, I'm sure, on Twitter about what El Salvador's seen from their early move into Bitcoin just in the last month, and what that's meant for them on paper, at least. But yeah, it could be like you said, it could be very interesting. Guys, I'm not qualified in any of this. I like studying history, and I think that economics is fascinating.
my thought process is we're like mirroring a lot of what happened 100 years ago or a century ago, where I think we are in this like roaring 20s type of situation, especially when it comes to risk on assets like Bitcoin and crypto, where the right administration got in, the right corporations are paying attention, the right nation states are paying attention. I think Bitcoin goes absolutely wild. Maybe it does extend, like, the bull run isn't as short as I think it is. Maybe it extends into 2026, but whatever comes after that, I think is going to be brutal. Just because like inflation this decade is going to be, it's going to be yikes. Like, I don't know.
But what happens if, in a bull run, if the holders are now in retirement accounts and in nation states, does that change the cycle? Because
changes the sell pressure.
Do you have that sell pressure like you had before, or do you have super whale games manipulating the market for gains, right? Because now you have nations with billions and hundreds of billions, and trillions of dollars at their control. What do they do, right?
Here's my theory. I think we're on a cycle delay. And what I mean by that is last cycle, everybody saw Michael Saylor doing what he was doing, adding Bitcoin to his balance sheet. Then they saw Tesla do it, right? At least for a quarter. I mean, Tesla still has it. And everybody's like, oh, every company's going to do this moving forward. This is going to be wild. We're in the super cycle. 100K is guaranteed. This was back in 2021. That didn't happen. But 4 years later, a cycle later, you're starting to see way more companies. Marathon's doing it. Metaplanet's doing it. Microsoft's going to have a conversation about it that, Saylor's going to talk at. Like, so you're seeing corporations pick up. So I think the narrative on this cycle delay this time around is nation states are going to start to adopt it. Okay, the US might, and you're going to have smaller nation states that do. But who are the other countries that will come in and potentially play whale games and wait until the 2029 bull run to really go heavy? You get what I'm saying? So like as it gets larger, as it gets into a larger asset, it does get easier to manipulate by larger pools of capitals. So right now, or at least the past couple of years, seems like it's been dominated by the BlackRocks and Fidelities, all these financial institutions. I mean, when you have nation states that'll be able to like print their money and buy Bitcoin or short Bitcoin or whatever it is, however all that stuff works out, I can see the cycle delay happening where it's like, okay, the real war for this, like the real like gold rush for Bitcoin doesn't happen until the next cycle in terms of like nation states. But again, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just it's just random musings at 9 p.m. on a random Thursday. So all I know is that I want to grab as much Bitcoin as possible, and I want to keep stacking those stats, right?
It's a good strategy.
So let's see here. 800. Yeah, we're doing this. So Status File says by June next year, the world will be engulfed in World War III, and we will also get hit with a massive solar flare, knocking out all communications. Bitcoin disappears for another 50 years until the world rebuilds. That sounds like a great book. I'd love to read it. Matthew Young says Peter Schiff made some positive comments on Bitcoin, and I almost lost my shit. And I saw he said MicroStrategy is about to crash, and then I immediately went back to thinking he was an idiot. I mean, MicroStrategy did crash, dude. That MicroStrategy is trading like a meme stock, so things are getting wild. MicroStrategy's last spike, that was in 2000. If you put a heartfelt introduction to your YouTube channel, you might get out of the sandbox. What kind of heartfelt introduction do you want? You don't like my canned, like, hey, I'm going to show these things to you? But he just always wants more. I'm just gonna pour my heart out at the beginning of every video. Guys, you need to play this game. And with this new ambassador program, use my sign-up link.
So I can get some percentage of something you do someday.
Yeah. No, I just want your Glint, man. I think it's like you get a percentage of purchases and Glint or something like that. So,
well, that percentage is not defined.
It is what it is. This is fun though, guys. I think we should call it soon. What do you think?
Yeah, I was over here starting to delegate cards.
All right. Well, are you just delegating random to whoever won?
Yeah, Keegs was the only one that commented, so he got what he asked for.
Okay.
It has a 0.2 hour cooldown. He's gonna have to wait for, but that doesn't seem too bad.
That's fine. I mean, you know, with the shows, people aren't here for the rewards. They're here for the gameplay and to hang out. So I appreciate
and
that.
the pessimism, because we're bringing that in spades.
Yeah, that was a little unexpected. I mean, I knew that there were going to be issues. I knew Tails wasn't going to like it. I wasn't expecting you to be as pessimistic as you were. I mean, again, no criticism. I just wasn't. I
didn't like it from the beginning. Like, I was hoping for more, but I really didn't like the idea. All of the Tails version was the best version I had heard of. I didn't like any of them.
Yeah. It's funny, just for the audience. I checked in on Discord with them. We have a little group chat, and I was like, all right, you guys ready to jump in? We can talk about the town hall. And Lorkus's first comment was, I turned it off after 5 minutes. I couldn't stand it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a great stream. Let's go. Oh, man. It was great.
I'll say something embarrassing. It's going to happen.
I really need more sarcastic after sound in my life. That gave me joy. All right, fair enough. Sarcastic after sound. Is it... That's not Papa Bear enough for you? You want more? God, people want me to be heartfelt. People want me to be sarcastic. I'm a freaking dancing clown is all it is. I'm a dancing monkey for you guys. No, I love
Salt
you.
mining while watching Bitcoin rally. It's quite the comment.
It is. I mean, come on,
That's what we're doing. It's true.
You know the thing is, we're all like complaining about this stuff, and SPS is gonna go into do multiples next year and nobody's going to be complaining. But you know what, Tails?
I don't think it's complaining though. I think it's I would say voicing concerns over mistakes that were made in the past that we're about to make again. None of this, the mode hasn't been released. There's no rewards that have been issued. So all of this can be fixed, but the team has to have an open mind and an open ear. And then if there are things that are good suggestions and can proactively address problems, I think they should be looked at.
I don't disagree. You know, my kind of, for this one's for Matthew, my sarcastic take on all of this is, if you look back 3 years ago, when this whole, Splinterland space took off, it was because bots were abusing the hell out of the system. They propped up the economy and made everything look more awesome than it was, and it made a bunch of people come in. I think you can make the argument that if the bots hadn't been doing that, Splinterlands wouldn't have achieved the success it had. And then, of course, the corresponding failures upon failures that came from that propped up success. So we may just be setting up ourselves to do it all over again, because the question I always ask myself is, what is going to get massive amounts of players in here? It's got to be crazy rewards that are propped up by something. We don't have an airdrop anymore. We don't have X, Y, and Z. I mean, maybe this new set will be similar to what Chaos Legion was. But, maybe if all these bot farms come back and they prop it up, they push SPS to $5 for us, we all sail off into the sunset. And, sadly, Matt will have to take care of things between 2026 and 2028 when we all come back.
Can't wait to buy a green Lambo to get to, what was it, a 17-year-old Tails when SPS goes to $5.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, last question here. Status Rival says, hey guys, what are the best non-tank tank cards in Rebellion? When you get stuck in those rule sets where you haven't used ranged. I don't play Rebellion, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to change once Chaos Legion is out, because I think you have some cards in the current modern meta for those rule sets that are magic only or ranged only that are no longer going to be there. Certainly you have on the dragon side the card that Lorkus is looking for, right? You can put that in there with the immunity and the flying and the speed and stuff, especially on enraged rule sets, becomes interesting. You can't put them with Vispa though when modern is redone, but you lose things like Queen of Crows, which is obviously a go-to in the range rule sets usually.
Who's that neutral common? That big boy? I don't know what his name is. I think it starts with a U.
Oh, the Oladin Overseer, I think, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, not attack.
Overseer,
That might be one.
The big fatty.
Big fatty.
10 shield, 17 life, 1 speed.
There you go.
Big guy.
I mean, for those rule sets, I mean, also, I think one of the things to look at is just, even cards that have attack that aren't going to be able to attack, like ranged cards with like lots of speed or dodge or flying, could be something to consider moving forward. It depends on what the California set gives us, right? We just don't know. But
California set.
God, what a
I know it is mostly a proper tank card at this point, but Delara Ganek, or however you pronounce that card, is just great.
Like I love Joey, I love Nate, creative team. It's like every set before it just, it was like Alpha, Beta, Untamed, Dice, Chaos Legion, Rift Watchers, Rebellion. Like they were like nice and easy and like straightforward. And now I have too many syllables with this freaking Conclave Arcana. It's a tongue twister. Should have made it
California is easier.
California's great.
California.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna end up calling it. This is the thing. Tails says it right now, like a month after the name came out, and we all know what he's talking about. So, All right. Quantum says though Aggro may have taken all of that with him to GLG and Moon cards. Bro, let's not even talk about that. That's not looking too good right now. Agree as well. All quit season be wild. All right, guys, I think we can end it here. I know it's late on the East Coast. It's late here for me. Lorkus, you might have some snow. You got to go snowblow or something, right?
It's not for a few more hours. We're good for now.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you for setting up the tournament, sir. This is fun as usual.
Sorry it was late.
What's that?
Sorry it was late. Thanks everyone for joining the team.
No, it's all good, man. Everybody was distracted with the town hall. Next week is Thanksgiving, though, so I don't think we'll be streaming. At least I won't be able to. So I want to wish all of you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully lots to be thankful for if your crypto bags are in the green, finally, or at least some of them. But any final thoughts, Lorkus, Tails?
Enjoy your 2-week delegations. I don't know.
2-week delegations. Okay. Fair enough. The generosity. See, it's a season of giving already. We'll try to come back on, what's the date in December? December 5th? Yeah. We'll plan for that. We'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. But enjoy the holiday. Tails, Lorkus, catch y'all later, man.
Peace.
See ya.